Hey everyone, welcome to the 12th episode of the GenAI CIO podcast. I've been joined in by Shiva, who's the founder and CEO for Lizer. Thanks, Shiva, for joining in. And this is Rishabh, from GoML. This week we are again back with few updates from the world of GenAI. Well, obviously, since we started this podcast, I don't think so. We've had a period where we did not have anything exciting, Shiva, and I'm pretty sure you and our viewers also understand that very well. But this year we definitely have a very exciting news, right? But that finally, right. We have the Gemini Ultra, right, model revealed, right? But along with that, Google has, I can see that sarcastic smile, sure, you discussed that. But along with the introduction of the Ultra model, Google has made a lot of other updates. I think we discussed a couple of updates in terms of, Lumiere getting released, they introducing GenAI, into their maps as well. But along with the release of Ultra, what they've also done is they are slowly phasing Bard out, right? Slowly phasing the name Bard, which is currently based on Lambda, right, completely out, right? And the Gemini advanced model will be completely replacing the Bard model. Right. Now, number two, also, what Google has done is, and slowly, I think we spoke about this, Shiva, last time. They're trying to play the catch-up model, so they already have some proven models that have worked for, probably Microsoft. Now, obviously, what Microsoft has done is that they've revealed Copilot, right, and they've leveraged their distribution network, right, of O365 tools to probably integrate Copilot, right. So, what Google has also done is with new release, they've released something called as Gemini and Gemini Advanced. Gemini is powered by Pro, right? And Gemini Advanced is powered by Ultra. Gemini is
Okay.
completely available, and what Gemini primarily is, it's more of a chatbot, right? For you to probably, search,
It's like,
integrate.
is it like Chat GPT and Chat GPT Plus?
I know it's in fact Chat GPT and then your Copilot, right?
Oh, okay.
So what Gemini allows you to do is it allows you to integrate a chatbot, right? It allows you to search, it allows you to ask specific questions, etc., etc. Whereas Gemini Advanced, right, which is based on Ultra, is the paid version, and you have to share out $20, right, after the free trial period, which is the pricing that you actually pay for Copilot teams as well, by the way. Uh, and you get your tasks done across, right, which is you can get your documents like integration with your Google Docs, you can actually get your Google Excel sheets updated and so on and so forth, so which is something that Copilot does. Now they've again followed the model that Microsoft has done. This is where they've differentiated, themselves from Microsoft. So if you today have an O365 license, you still have to shell out licensing for Copilot. Whereas in case of Gemini Advanced, if you already are a Google One subscriber, it actually comes as part of that. You don't have to shell out $20 additional. Right? So that's one good thing that users who are already using Google One, subscribers can start integrating and using. Right? Shiva, I tried out Gemini for certain questions. I have not tried out Gemini Advanced yet. Right? And it does a good job. It does a decent job of responding to your questions. The responses are quite coherent and so on, right? But yeah, so it's a good update from Google. Some of these strategies are already proven. Let's see how it works for Google, right? But that's where we are.
Yeah. No. Finally they did launch, and there are few. I would say Twitter AI bros who already tried and tested this to some extent. They've been doing some stress test on the Gemini and ChatGPT comparison. There is a good YouTube channel called AI Explained. He's done a thorough testing. There's a half an hour video which I was going through yesterday on the prompt side. It's a mixed bag reaction. Definitely, no one is definitely saying that Ultra is better than GPT for sure,
Yes.
because GPT has set such a gold standard already, right? There are areas where Ultra does slightly better compared to GPT. But then I think overall still GPT wins, to be honest, from whatever I saw. Not just that video, there are a few comparisons and evaluations in people have done in Twitter as well, which I've been following. I think GPT still wins. And what is so surprising is GPT came out few months back actually. It's been almost going to be a year shortly in some time, and GPT still wins, which means the
Yes.
expectation for GPT-5 has just gone up, to be honest. So
So that's
So yeah,
that's right, right, Shiva. I
kudos
mean,
to Google for launching it finally.
that's always the first mover advantage. I think the first advantage because, and that's what happens with Google search, right? For that matter, come what may, right? Whoever releases a search tool, they'll always be playing the catch-up game, and that's probably happening to a certain extent with ChatGPT as well. As intelligent as these models become, ChatGPT 5 will come and probably out. At least that's the expectation. Right? It will outrun all these models eventually, right? So hopefully,
No,
yes.
not just first mover. No, no, not just first mover because first mover. I mean, first mover advantage is definitely there, but when the next product is considerably much better, then then obviously you lose the first mover advantage. What happened in GPT-4 was, in addition to being a first mover, the product is also kind of gun
It
product
is, yeah.
actually. So, right, that's why it's able to hold, like say Llama 2 came, first mover open source, but then Mistral came. If Mistral was not better than Llama 2, Llama 2 would have still been the king, but it is not the king of open source. Mistral is the king of open source now. Right now, Llama 3 will have to come out and try and beat Mistral, and then Mistral will release something again. So,
Yes.
if you see, it's always going to be the game that way, two-way, three-way game. Falcon came out of nowhere, but it wasn't good enough. So GPT, that's why kudos to GPT-4 for holding that position actually. So,
I agree,
right?
Shiva, but I think it's a lot about your mindset when you actually start. I was reading this somewhere, right, that the release of the whole co-pilot scenario from Microsoft perspective was a little uh, you know pre tested, and people are now probably sharing very bad reviews about Copilot, especially on Excel. And I've tried it out. If you have more than 50 lines in an Excel, Copilot crashes, right? So did probably Microsoft, again, was very early in releasing. Then Microsoft has had a share of failures in releasing the AI products earlier as well, right? Tay is a good example. So I also feel one is definitely first mover advantage because you have a sampling set. Number two, as you mentioned, probably the quality of the product. But I also feel it's about the mindset also, right? And I think Sam
Hmm.
Altman and team actually brought that as a harbinger of the whole GenAI technology, right? So I think, yeah, that's why the product is pretty good. It's about the mindset as well, Shiva.
Correct. Yeah. Moving to the next one, it's an interesting one to see that OpenAI and Meta both have started placing these secret watermarks on the images that they generate, because then it's easier for for systems to understand what is AI generated and what is not. They have this kind of signatures and watermarks, which makes it easier for other systems to follow and detect these AI generated images. They follow the C2PA standards for that. So which is a good thing because these are big companies moving in the right direction. And I think soon everyone else will start following that. While and what kind of my thought process was, okay, this is good for images, but what about text?
Yes.
That text is still cannot be, and there are a lot of companies, startups who claim that we built an AI text detection engine, but it fails miserably. Actually, we've seen none of
Right.
them work.
Yeah.
Like yesterday at Lizer, we launched an open source framework called Lizer Automata, and the very first experiment we did was newsletter automation, where the agent speaks to Perplexity, pulls out the latest news on any topic that you supply. It then generates a base draft content. The next agent generates a base draft content. The next agent writes a newsletter, and the fourth agent publishes that to LinkedIn. And and for the LinkedIn post, I think they already had about 13, 14 likes just for the LinkedIn post. I did nothing. I just asked the agent to write an article. That's it. I just gave a one word for it to search. That's it. Rest all happened in a matter of 160 seconds. The whole workflow was executed, and it was posted in LinkedIn. And that's the crazy part, right? The crazy part is, and this also involved generating a DAL-E3 image for that particular post. Without the DAL-E3 image, we would have saved another 40 seconds. It would have gone out in 2 minutes. Now this is text, which is going out to LinkedIn. Like we can do the same for blog, etc., etc., etc. and there is no stopping. So there is no labels or signatures that you can use on the text part, which is this bit we don't know how we're going to solve that problem. But whosoever solves, they have $1 billion business right there in the Gen AI world actually.
So I do
So
have a question. Well, obviously this is a very welcome announcement, especially with the elections coming in. I think Biden's biggest agenda is AI. Not only Biden's, right? Where everywhere it's AI, scrutinizing AI, security around AI, and whatnot, right? But I think, Shiva, one question that I have, and we are working on such use case, right, where we are helping a customer generate very hyper personalized imagery based on stable diffusion, right? Now, in this case, what we are doing is the customer, whatever is getting generated from the customer's platform, we are adding a a watermark, for the customer's logo, right, that's generated from this platform. But what happens now with Dolly, right? Now that anything that's getting generated through Dolly has a hypermark generated from Dolly. But if let's say I am using it for professional services where I've purchased licenses for this, do I have control over this watermark?
uh,
We should, right? Ideally, I could.
I don't. If you buy through an authorized agent, probably yes, I believe.
You should, right? Because I was
Only if you
reading
buy
through,
through an
I couldn't
authorized
find
agent, yeah.
anything. Maybe it's too much immature right now because it's just released. Because that's one thing they'll have to keep in mind. Because I have purchased the license, so I own the generation engine as well, and I should be able to put my watermark. What we're doing for this customer in this case, right, on stable diffusion. So that should happen, right? Yep. I think all these
Yeah,
scenarios will have
ideally
to be
yes.
thought of. Yeah.
Correct. But I think it's the right move. Videos, images, audio are not probably. Videos and images are at least understandable. You can have this watermarks and some secret stamps basically. Text is where the problem still remains.
Correct.
So you'll have to see who's going to
And they
solve that
had to
problem.
do this, and I was reading this report, Shiva, where these models have at least some of these models like Mid Journey, right, Dolly 3, have come to an extent where they're able to generate images which are not decipherable as AI images, even by good engines. And so that's why this move was welcoming. Right? I was releasing the launch note on this. So yeah, absolutely, it's a very welcome move. But again, as I agree with you, how do we solve this problem for something that's as generic as a text, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
all
Okay.
right.
Next up, we have Hugging Face, probably the biggest open source machine learning company there in the market. So they launched surprisingly very late. They launched the open source version of Chat GPT Builder. So you can go and build your own GPT and share it with anyone to use. And you can integrate any open source LLM that you want, like Llama 2 or Mistral. And it's free, no subscription required. Just go and start playing around. It's still in a very nascent stage, but good that they at least launch a playground now for people to kind of start using it. So yeah, that's I mean, you already have GPT, and we are seeing what's happening with GPT.
Yeah.
After the initial few things, probably we all settle down with one or two GPTs primarily, right? We don't kind of jump and use hundreds of thousands of GPTs actually. Because humans have only so much time, we can only do so many things. And yeah,
And you
my
develop
opinion,
favorites,
it's
right,
good.
over a period of time, Shiva. Even in devices now, like you develop favorites over a period of time. Right? But it's
Correct.
direct competition to GPT Store now, right, Shiva? And that's why I'm so happy and buzzed about this update. Because although I know
Not
you can only
necessarily
build
it.
chat
Not.
assistants right now on Hugging
Hmm.
Face, whereas on GPT Builder you can actually build any kind of GPTs today, right? Any kind of automation agents. But if you really look at it, and I was going through the GPT Builder, right, where you can actually browse all these models. Most of these models are still chat assistants, right? While they're doing a lot of other tasks as well. So what I really feel is that this does act. I will not say a direct competitor, but this definitely is becomes a good competition for GPT Builder as well, right?
Uh, yeah, we need to see how I mean, how do they commercialize this? Hugging, this is not their primary business
Yeah.
model, if you ask, right? Hugging Face, this is not their primary business model. So we need to see how they're going to commercialize this. Let's wait and see how it turns out.
Correct. But at least I think from usability
I
and
think I
adaptability.
think the competition is something. No, the competition is something, according to me, Claude or Gemini should. I think Google might launch a competition. They are the ones who are wanting to take OpenAI head on in their own game. And GPT Builder is nothing but a copy of Poe, which was launched by the Quora guys anyway. So yeah, let's and now the recent news is that OpenAI is going after agent builder
Yes.
platform. So they're going after companies like Multion and few other agent builder companies. They want to build a more visually a UI which makes it easy for people to build multi agents. Again, like bring multiple GPTs together, etc. So interesting to see what it also kind of invokes another thought. Okay, is OpenAI out of tricks? I mean, is GPT-5 is not going to be what we all think it is going to be.
But
And now they're starting to diversify, looking into other things. So,
I mean, one last thought or perspective from my side, right, Shiva, is on Chat GPT, right, when they release GPT Builder, the platform where you have a lot of folks who code and develop as well, right, but there are a lot of folks who actually go to consume, right. Now, why probably I feel this is a good update, because just imagine at Hugging Face you will have mostly builders who are actually going, right, contributors and builders. So the level of adoption of such custom builders definitely I feel will definitely be much faster and much higher. Right? So
makes sense. Makes sense.
all right.
What next?
So while Apple has been making strides, they've also done some things which they've not done in the past with the advent of GenAI. They've released an open source LLM, but I think this time what we wanted to actually share with our viewers is, and this is something that Shiva, you and I have been speaking about heavily, is how usable are these large language models. And when I speak about these large language
Hmm.
models, I'm speaking about these massive $75 billion parameter models and so on, right? How consumable are they?
Hmm.
Because see, one of the biggest challenges that at least we've seen in our experience, and that's what even Apple also highlights, is that there are, like, whenever you actually look at consuming these models, they are primarily constraints. And the biggest constraint that actually comes in, one happens is this inferencing budget, right? Which is at the inference level, what's the money that you're actually about to spend, probably at a transaction level as well, right? How much of a budget you have. And number two is your data set. And I'm not talking about the massive data set that the GPTs are trained on. I'm talking about the specific domain level data set that you're actually working on, right? And that's where availability of these data sets probably are proving models like Phi and all to be very useful, right? Now, they've run a study, right, Shiva, and while they've highlighted a lot of things in terms of variables, key variables, availability, and whatnot, right? Uh, I think the biggest thing that or the finding that they've actually given is that when your inferencing budget, right, is quite large,
Okay.
right, is big, right, what you should be focusing on is you should be focusing on your smaller models, right? But smaller models getting trained with importance sampling, right? Rather than you probably going for large, because if you have larger budgets, generally you probably say, okay, I'll spend money and time on GPT type of models and then train them, right? But what they've suggested is have a two-level training, right? Where you pick up these small models, first train them on generic data to probably build their inferencing capabilities. And then you probably do
Okay.
resampling on your very focused, curated or very focused, domain level data. And that's when your inferencing would be pretty good. But when your inferencing budget is very small, that's when it makes sense for you to use these generalized models, but with a mixture, or probably with a thought process of using, mixture of experts technique, right? And for obviously our viewers, mixture of experts technique is nothing but in your the traditional models, there's one model that's actually solving a problem, right? In mixture of experts, primarily you divide the problem that you're trying to solve into heterogeneous outcomes, and then you have a one or couple of these models solving one problem at a time, and then probably using that as a
Like for example, yeah, for example, you can have one model which is good at search,
yes,
one model which is good at coding. There is one model which is good at generating large
exactly,
content. Okay. So then there's a classifier on top. So based on the input query, it'll figure out which expert to call, or a couple of experts, or a combination of two or three experts, and then it'll go and call those experts.
exactly, exactly,
So
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, while obviously a lot of us understand the importance of data, but why probably I feel the study is very critical, because it challenges a lot of thought through beliefs that we have, right? That if I have larger budgets, I should go and use generic models because I have money to spend. But that's what this theory completely, or this study completely challenges. That more the budget, more you should be actually focusing on training smaller models with better data sets, right, for better inferencing, right? So, and that's what you and I have been, advocating is that it's time for us to focus on domain specific models or task specific models, right? So, yeah, that's why I thought it's a good update as well.
Got it. Cool. Last up today, this we have, I mean, a very early, one of the early frauds that is happening, I mean, that has happened with AI. Here in this case, someone created a deep fake video of a CFO of a company, a Hong Kong based company. The CFO is based in UK, and they had this in a conference call. The CFO was there, and the Hong Kong business person guy was also there on the other end. And the CFO asked the person to transfer $25 million
Wow.
in five different bank accounts during the video conferencing call, saying there is exigency and stuff, etc., super urgent or something of that sort. So they had some info obviously about what the company is doing, etc., etc.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the business person managed to, I mean, did transfer 25 million in during that 1 hour conference call or whatever, and then the whole thing, they lost the money. It's about $100,000. It's about 100 million Hong Kong dollars.
Wow.
So the police report says that initially the business person was a bit concerned because he thought that the CFO was looking off a bit, kind of distressed a bit. But then when the other colleagues started joining in the call, he kind of eased down. Apparently, that's when he let his guard down and then started following and then started eventually transferring the whole money. It is not revealed who is the organization yet or how the deepfake was done. But this is kind of a very early wake up call to a lot of us here actually that, hey, you know what? I mean, this is going to be pretty serious stuff. So the security is a super big space in the generative AI scene as well. This is a super early. We saw what happened to the Taylor Swift fake video that was going around. So yeah,
Right.
it's an
So
interesting.
it's
Uh,
and
yeah.
it's. I mean, what you were Shiva speaking about is that obviously at a very large level, right? That it got noticed, right? Obviously happening with such a large organization, the value itself. But I think what's happening slowly is, and that's where I go back to my conversation with you in one of these podcasts, is that is AI incorrect or AI in the hands of incorrect people, right? But I always, and that's where I think the watermark piece, the security pieces, because I think everyone is of a belief that when you develop technology assuming that the person using it is going to be the most stupid person in this world. That's how you develop technology, right? So I think it's very critical for us to, one, obviously we are doing development, we are focusing on context video, context length, we're focusing on number of parameters, but I think it's high time all of us start focusing on the security side of these things as well. We've started doing that, Shiva, heavily in the implementations that we do because we handle a lot of customer data, but it's the responsibility of these model generators as well, right, to probably start putting in the guardrails in the picture, right? So yeah, it's a wake up call. Agreed. All
Cool.
right, I think
So that,
that's all
yeah,
we
go ahead.
have for our viewers today, Shiva. Again, as usual, Shiva, thanks for your insights and joining us. Viewers, thanks for listening in.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
We'll continue bringing in new updates every week as we do, and stay tuned and keep following us. But thanks for joining in again.
Thank you. Take care.